Hey friends, welcome back. We're excited to be with y'all on this happy love day. Happy Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's Day.
This one's for the lovers.
It
So,
is. We're talking all
today,
about loving your
yeah,
spouse and what that looks
perfect.
like. And Blaine has a story she wants to tell.
Okay, so Andrew, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is when I realized that I was going to have to love my husband through his just his moments. Okay, so
His moments.
our first house that we lived in was an older house, and when we moved in, it was just like a not a builder grade, but a just a very basic tan color on the walls,
Oh,
very
yeah.
neutral, totally fine. Well, about a couple years into marriage, maybe it was before we had kids. We just decided to paint several of the rooms. I don't know that we even did the whole house, but we did several of the rooms in a very neutral gray. So looking at the gray in the store, it was fun. Well, we started painting the walls and realized that this gray had some cool undertones. And if you're not aware of the difference in a cool gray versus a warm gray,
They're mega different.
there is a huge difference. And obviously, maybe we should have gone with a warm gray, but once we got it on the wall, in the lighting that it was in this particular room, he realized we've just painted our walls purple. And it was obviously not purple, but
But it
he
had the appearance of purple.
was, pacing just like distraught and like upset, not mad, not angry, just visibly like we have spent all this time and money to have purple walls in our living room. And just that's when I realized, loving my spouse looks like coaching him through these moments where we're not going to freak out. Like
No.
it is truly going to be okay. And it did end up being okay. But we still laugh about that to this day. So if you've got a spouse that freaks out about your paint colors, just know it's going to be fine. And we're at 10 years going strong. So,
Hey.
yeah, we're excited for the rest of the episode. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the You Are More podcast. I'm Blaine Ledbetter.
And I'm Laken Stewart. If you're looking for an authentic community that shares the truth of the gospel and the truth about life, you've come to the right place.
We believe that you are more. You're more than motherhood, more than your ministry, and more than your career. Grab a cup of coffee and listen in to hear the truth about what it means to find your identity in Christ through every season of life.
Welcome to the You Are More podcast.
I think we've all had paint color moments with our spouses, whether or not it's paint color or something else. But man, I know you've been married 10 years. We've been married almost 7 years in July. So yeah, it's a wild ride. Definitely some hills and valleys and everything in between. And so Blaine, tell me what you love most about Andrew.
Yeah, oh gosh, where do I start? Like literally. He has always been the most patient and the most kind person I've ever met. Not just with me and my paint color moments, if that's what we're going to call them.
That's great.
But he deals with my intensity, and now he has a daughter who's intense. So I'm like,
the intensity,
if
I
you
love
can
it.
deal with me, you can deal with her. He was definitely and still is the best husband, before and after, like during parenthood and all that. He's an even better dad than he is a husband, which is just so crazy to even, like, oh my gosh, think about. but he prioritizes us as a family. Discipling our kids is huge, and he is definitely, he absolutely models biblical manhood in that. Yeah, he's again, he leads our family spiritually. He protects us, not just physically protects us from harm and keeps us all safe, but really just from the craziness of our culture.
The enemy. Yeah.
So I'm thankful for, and I tell people all the time at our church, especially, and what you see on Sunday mornings is what you see throughout the week, but it's also what we see at home. I mean, there is no church mode and then home mode. He's the same person. He's not compartmentalized. So that is what I love about him. And if you're listening, I know words of affirmation. We'll talk about it. That's his love language. So just affirming that he's doing great, and we're family so appreciative of how he's all of our heroes, all the kids and me. So let's see, what do you love about Cody?
Yeah. I think the things that I love about Cody have changed since we got married, which maybe sounds weird, but like when we were dating, I loved his like adventurous spirit and like always looking for something fun, or like, going on hikes and things. And then just the way he would pursue me in a biblical way. That was like one thing that I really loved about him. And then when we got married, that didn't really change. Like I always have loved his adventurous spirit and like need and like want for adventure. And but when we got married and even into now, I love the way he looks at me with intention and is like, how are you doing? Because I am totally a person that when someone asks me that, I'm like, oh, I'm fine. It's good. Nothing's on fire, when really like I'm in
everything
flames.
Is.
And he's like, wait, no, like, I know you. How are you actually? Like, what is going on? I want to hear about like what your day has been like. And like when we moved recently, we have been so busy that those conversations hadn't really happened. And so I was, there was like a day, like a few weeks ago, when he finally like sat down and was like, what, like, I feel like I haven't talked to you in like 3 months. Like, what is going on? Like, and that we hadn't not talked in that amount of time, but like, it was definitely not like this intentional, like deep thought, talk. And so it was, he like finally sat down and he was like, what is going on? I feel like you have so much going on in your brain and you're not telling me. So he knows how to get, like, I love that he knows how to get the hard things out of me, because I would just rather not share. Because I can do it. I can do it all in my brain. And then I think I love the way he plays with our kids. Like, it is such a joy to like watch him like put on a princess dress halfway, and he does this thing where he gives the girls blankets to put over their heads, and then he puts a blanket over his head and they all pretend to be Mary. And like walk around like Mary.
So fun.
So hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
And so he like, I mean, he's a girl dad through and through, like loves the tea parties, loves to dress up, like plays house with them. It's so fun to watch him play with them. And it's just like the same as when we would like go on a hike or like find the next adventure. Like that's play for adults. And so like, he like, it just exudes that joy with our kids, and I love it. It's just awesome. So yeah, he has a lot of wonderful qualities, but his childlike play is probably one of my favorites. It's great.
What would you say, last week we talked about love languages. What, and I feel like with adults it's a little different. Like, what would you say is his love language to where he receives love.
Yeah.
But is that the same for how he shows you love too? Are those two different things, the same? Like what's his?
He definitely receives love from words of affirmation and physical touch, which I think is just a man thing in general. Yeah. But the way he gives love is those things, and they're not necessarily my love languages.
Yeah.
I'm not a physical touch girly. I'm good to hug you maybe once. Like even my friends, of course I show affection to my husband, but there's like I have a story. Like there was this when I was pregnant with Lila. Yeah. When I was pregnant with Lila, every night my hair was really long, so I would braid it. And I might have told this story here before. I don't remember. I would braid my hair every single night, just like I do now, because I hate sleeping with it like all over the place in the bed and like it comes out naughty in the morning. And I was maybe like 8 or 9 months pregnant, and it was like every day he had done this exact thing that I'm about to share. When I was braiding my hair, he would come up and just like hug me and grab me while I'm trying to do my hair. And I got to a point when I was like, Cody, you have got to stop. I can't deal with it right now. Like I am huge. Like I am massively pregnant, and you touching me and getting all up in my business while I'm trying to do my hair is just, it's not working for you. Not working for me. It's just not. And he was like,
love that.
You should have told me sooner. I didn't know. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I have these thoughts in my mind that are like, you should know this. And like, you should know I'm 9 months pregnant and you're trying to hug up on me while I'm braiding my hair. So yeah, that's one instance that's definitely how he shows love, but he's done a better job, I think, of tuning into my love languages.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of our marriage and dating, like I am a person who loves intentionality. Like if you can show me, like if you wanted to do it, you would. And that's like kind of my mindset. Like if you really wanted to do something, you would do it. And there was throughout the first like couple years of our marriage, he would say he made a plan, or like say he thought about making a plan, and instead of actually like following through with said plan, he would just tell me about it. So like he'd be like, Laken, I thought of this really fun date for us. I was going to get you flowers. I was going to make dinner. I was going to book us a movie, all these things. But he would never do it. He would just tell me that he thought about it. And I'm just like,
great intentions. He was being intentional, just
not in the right way. Yeah, and I think I'm a person who, and I know, Blaine, you're the total opposite of this, but I absolutely love my birthday. It is my day. Everybody in the whole dang world is going to know it's my birthday.
Yeah.
And there's a couple years when I'm like, does my husband know it's even my birthday?
Oh my gosh.
Those have been some tough
my
birthdays.
Goodness. Yep.
But anyways, Blaine, how does Andrew receive love, or what are his like love languages? Does he dish out love the same way?
Yeah, pretty much. His is definitely words of affirmation. I think it also, love languages change throughout seasons of life, but for him in particular, it's always pretty much been words of affirmation. So even just a simple, like, you're doing a great job, your sermon was great today. And I'm not good at words of affirmation. But that's how he best receives love. Yeah. And so, but I also, he definitely dishes it out the same way. So he definitely shows us love, in words of affirmation for our whole family. Just telling the girls they did a good job at something, or, telling Dansby that, not just saying, hey, you're good at everything, but you did good at this one particular thing. And the kids are already starting to mimic that. And so I know that they're hearing that and it's showing them love, but at the same time, that's also kind of what they're feeding out to other people too. And he definitely shows me love in acts of service. And I literally, I think my love languages change again through the seasons, but pretty much a constant is acts of service. And he for sure tries to go out of his way. And the whole, like, if he wanted to, he would. Well, he wants to, and he will. And he knows that that's how I feel the most loved, is just acts of service, that not helping out around the house, but just doing everything without me asking. Like, this is not, if I do have a specific to-do list, we share that. And so he knows exactly, like, I'm going to get these things done. Because he works outside the home. I'm more in tune to what goes on around the house. But, acts of service is how he definitely loves me, and the kids too. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that you've had to love Andrew through, like, a difficult season, or what's like your best advice for that?
First I'll say that for whoever's listening, married or not, or, you desire to be married one day, love is a choice, and oftentimes it's not a feeling.
So true.
I say that in
it's not all warm and fuzzies.
It's not, the honeymoon period, if you're still in that and it's 10, 20, 50 years in, great. I love that for you. But for most couples, I found that it's a choice every day to wake up and say, I don't really like this person today, but I'm going to choose to love them, because it's honoring, it's holy. We often say, our marriage especially, is about being holy and not happy. Because happiness is fleeting. It is, that is a feeling that can come and go. But when we've talked about this before, like, staying joyful. I am joyful in my marriage. I am, just even this week, have just been so grateful to be married to someone who is so honoring to our family and respectful to me. It's hard to, like, marriage is definitely about taking up your cross daily. If you ever want to be sanctified,
get married.
Marriage is all about sanctification. Parenthood is even more sanctifying above that.
Oh, true.
But like, just dying to yourself and your needs, and knowing that, in Ephesians where it talks about wives submitting to your husbands, I know that verse can be misconstrued to be a cause for submission that leads to abuse. But for us, like, I love and respect and honor my husband. And so being submissive and honoring to him, never an issue. But that does mean that I have to lay down my cross daily and die to the things that I need and want and desire. And sometimes we don't agree. And that's okay. Like, I really love that we can just go back and forth.
In a safe space. Like,
yes. And we balance each other out. And you and I are very driven women, and we know what we want. And I just I thank Andrew all the time of, like, I am so glad we balance each other out, because he is so much more reserved and, like, introverted, and not necessarily soft-spoken, but very much more calculated in his responses and stuff. And I just, it all comes out. I can be intense. But marriage, we have just learned to be team players together, and every day is not the greatest day of our marriage, but we tell our kids often, like, we're on the same team. Your dad and I are on the same team. We are one family. but it's never, you guys are not gonna like play us on each sides of like,
it's not gonna be Mommy said this,
No.
Daddy,
We're in this together. Like, we often will ask, well, what did Mama say? Well, what did Daddy say? And, you know, there are things that I haven't agreed with that we have like decided on something random, you know, it's not big issues. We are definitely in it together on that. But at the end of the day, you know, I trust his judgment and his leadership. And so, again, it goes back to that daily, you know, dying to yourself. And I know that's hard to understand if you're not a Christian or if you haven't been a Christian for long. Marriage is hard no matter what you've gone through up until you got married, after you got married. So yeah, just honoring your husband in public and private too. I could go on and on about that, but
like not showing one thing to the rest of the world and then behind closed doors, you're like tearing him down.
Yeah. And definitely not tearing down in public either.
There's never a moment. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't know what I was going to say exactly, but like if I share something that he's done to like get on my nerves that day, I'm saying it to not criticize him and very respectful.
Yeah.
But I can be like, you know, yeah, he painted the walls purple or something like that. But definitely not like, my husband never helps around the house and he never does anything for the kids and he's so lazy and
in a space where you need to share like about like things, like first you go to your husband about them and you share those with him. If it's like even worth, because if you're like me, sometimes you're just having a bad day and every little itty bitty thing just bothers you. And if I brought up every little itty bitty thing, there would be no marriage left. Like,
I mean, it would be like, what are you hearing all the time?
Yeah, exactly. And so like sometimes I will go to some like really close friends of both of ours and be like, hey, can you pray for me in my heart about this? Because there are 10,000 things that Cody's doing that are just bugging me. And I know they shouldn't be bugging me. And it's usually like has to do with my cycle during the month. Like when I'm about to get my period, everything is just like, ugh, I cannot deal with the craziness. But definitely like honoring words and like not bringing other people unnecessarily into whatever argument or drama, for lack of better words, that you and your spouse are going through. Like there is like nothing worse than like having an argument with your spouse and then bringing in like 4 or 5 other people to like give their opinions on it. Now, if it's something that's like super serious, you definitely need to get a third party, like unbiased
like to mediate
therapy. But yeah, I think I love what you said about honoring your husband in public and in private. Because I feel like sometimes that's not the case. And it's reversed too. Like sometimes husbands are that way too. Like they'll put on a big show in front of, you know, whoever, but then at home it's different. And I think just whoever you are, if you're the husband listening or if you're the wife listening, taking heed of that, you know, honor your spouse at all times, not just when you're in front of others. But yeah, that's good, Blaine. So what is? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just. The last thing I was going to say is, I have people that come to me to mainly it's the not to complain about their husbands. It's like we aren't on the same page or this is this issue, but they've already brought it up with their husbands. And so like you said, it's already been, and it's more bringing people into the conversation to pray, but it's like trusted confidants.
Yes.
And so it's not just
like, don't go air your dirty laundry on social media. Like just don't do that.
Right. Like friends that you trust, but everything that, I've been told or that I have said, whatever. I don't have a negative view of that person's spouse.
No,
because they have been honoring. And so, because I think a lot of times if you get into the weeds of it being more gossip and complaining and whatever, then the people who are listening can get this negative view and this negative image of this person that you're talking about. And I am just thankful to be in a group of friends, several friend circles that are very honoring to their spouses. And I think that's important too, to be around people who are in thriving, God honoring marriages that you want your marriage to emulate. So what were you going to ask?
Sure.
Sorry.
Now I don't remember.
Oh gosh, sorry. I do that all the time. It's fine.
My brain this week, like I've had trouble forming just basic sentences.
It's okay.
Oh man. Yeah. I was on a work call yesterday and was like literally speaking in tongues. I don't know what I was saying.
Oh gosh. It's fine.
It's good. It's all good. Oh man. No, but you had a lot of truth to say just about that. And I think that's something that I have learned in my marriage, because definitely in the beginning of our marriage, I would just like fly off the handle and like storm out and leave the room when I got mad about something.
Yeah.
Now I am, 7 years in and have learned a lot since those first few years of how to honor Cody, even when we're in like a tiff or like some kind of argument about something stupid or some big argument. The past couple of years, especially, our marriage kind of went through like a major valley when we were in Virginia. We were just in like straight survival mode, and we would just like check in with each other, like, you good? Yep. You good? Yep. And then we just kind of moved on. Like truly, like probably did not have we had a lot of conversations, but they weren't like deep checking in. They were a lot of conversations about what we were going through. And like the people we were talking with. And so, our marriage definitely took a hit after Lila was born, especially. And just, we were in a really tough season in ministry. And I just remember thinking, God, pull us through this, because I can't do this life without Cody. And it was just really, really hard. And we're on the other side of that now. But it really humbled me, because there was a lot of things that I had to confess to Cody, just like thoughts that I was having, and just like difficulties I was having processing stuff that we had been through. And, but yeah, all that to say, like, if I wouldn't have learned in the beginning, like, this is not how to react to a difficult conversation, or this is not like, I don't think we would have made it out of that tough season, like, truthfully. And Cody has always been very calm, cool, and collected, and just like nothing bothers him, but like deep down it is bothering him. And so I've had to like pull it out and just like, okay, I can tell, because I know you. I know you, and I know your demeanor. Like, this is something that's bothering you. Can you tell me more? And he has to do the same for me. So it's definitely like, there've been seasons where we haven't talked much about what's bothering us, and then it like all blows up a couple months later. But I feel like now we're in a spot where when we do get a chance to like have those deep conversations, we have them, and it's been super helpful for us to prioritize that. Because I think a lot of times when you're in the young kid stage of your marriage, I mean, it's been the hardest part of our marriage for sure. Like, just trying to manage kids, manage expectations, manage duties around the house, manage like submitting to one another equally, and like understanding where the other is coming from, and while also trying to keep the feral children alive. So it's like, amen. It's like how, like, God, you brought us here, see us through it. And And he will, and he has, and he's done a miracle like in our communication and just how we talk and process things. And truly, I think if we would have stayed in Scottsville, I think a few things would have happened. One, our marriage would have just imploded, and two, we would have left the faith and like left the church entirely. And so I'm really thankful for God's provision in our marriage, in our kids' lives, of just bringing us to where we are. Because if we would have stayed, X number of years there, I don't know if we would have survived that. So I'm always like, every day I wake up and I'm like, God, thank you for bringing us here, because it might be a really, really hard day with work or the kids or schedules and not seeing anyone ever.
Right.
But it's just a measure of faithfulness that he's letting us wake up and do life here. Because like a year ago, we would have never thought we'd been here. So
that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like I rambled there for a minute about nothing, but
no, that was great. That was great. I think that will resonate with a ton of people. And Laken and I don't have this figured out. We've each been married. Like a minute. Drop in the tiny bucket. Yeah. And there are hard seasons that are going to come, mountaintops, valleys. But I think, I don't know if we've said it, I know Laken has, but just the communication aspect, talking, communicating, and not just checking in like surface level, but really like what is going on. Just that connection and that intimacy of feeling close emotionally and spiritually is just as important as physical intimacy. So yeah. Anything else, Laken? Any other nuggets of wisdom?
I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. My brain is like mush from all the to-do lists and probably a toddler outside my door.
Oh man. I know. I think just sharing expectations for the day, for the night even, like, is so important. There's been a lot of times when Cody expects one thing and he doesn't share that, and I don't fulfill that expectation, or vice versa. I'm expecting like, well, you get home at 2:00 and you don't have to do work on Thursday afternoons. When I do, I need you to do this, and this, but I don't tell him that. I just keep it in my head.
You just expect him to do it, but if you haven't communicated it, he'll never know. Yeah.
And the same goes for like physical intimacy, like like communicating about it and talking about it, and having expectations and boundaries and all of that. And that's a hard thing. But that is like an important part of a godly marriage. And so just keeping that in mind.
I love that. Well, we hope y'all have the best Valentine's Day. Go do something kind for your husband today or your spouse. Yes. I hope it's sweet. If you celebrate it, great. If you don't, we kind of are just like, don't care.
We're kind of indifferent.
I know. I'm like, I mean, it's a cute holiday, but
I got something for my kids, but not my husband.
It's not a make or break holiday. Like if I get nothing, I don't think twice about it at all. So we hope y'all have the best day, and we'll be back next week. See ya.